Welcome to the Equine Vet Connect podcast. I'm your host, Dan Carter. I'm a veterinarian and a farrier. The goal of this podcast is to educate horse people, break things down, bust myths, and keep it real. Speaking of breaking things down, here's my legal disclaimer to keep my attorney and insurance company happy. While I am a vet, I may not be your vet. Contact them before trying anything you hear on this podcast. Remember, just because you watched it on YouTube or heard it on a podcast does not mean you can do it. Please use common sense.
Welcome back to the Equine Vet Connect. I'm your host, Dr. Caroline Brown. Dan is somewhere today, probably somewhere warm, hopefully. So we're in charge today, and I have a special guest with us. This is Miss Ashley Best. She is joining us from the Newton County Extension Center. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you for having me today.
Happy to have you here. We're gonna talk about donkeys today. So a very passionate thing here. We love our donkey patients. We treat them as good as we would treat, our top level dressage horses and all the things. We love them, but they're a very, I think they're a very misunderstood type of animal. I think a lot of people don't really know what to do with them, and we're here to kind of talk about what makes them special and how to best care for your donkey.
They're a very noble creature, and the adage is they're the beast of burden.
Yes, very much so. I think so. Ashley, just kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm the Agriculture and Natural Resources Agent for Newton County. I'm also the County Extension Coordinator. I work with farmers, producers, even homeowners, and I have a master gardener group. So anything that's agriculturally related, if it's not horses, that's okay. I still tend to it. So I help diagnose disease problems, look at management issues, all at no cost. It's
that's those tax dollars hard at work.
That's right. It's an extension program from the University of Georgia.
Awesome. So. Very, very cool. And you have horses of your own?
I do. I have two horses. I have a little solid bred paint mare that I bred and raised. Her name's Dallilina. And I just bought myself a 2-year-old for my birthday.
Oh.
My birthday was in December, so I went and picked him up. He's a little bay roan quarter horse.
Okay. Okay. What do you do with them?
So his name's Oni. He's like a grandson of a streak of fling, so I'm going to start barrel racing him.
Cool. Yep. Okay. And you have donkeys as well? Or
I have
a donkey?
One donkey, yep. I have one donkey. He is on the verge of a miniature, like he's right at 36 inches. So his name is Monzer.
Monzer?
Yep, Monzer. So it kind of comes from the Italian Formula One track Monza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like the British way to say it, Monzer.
Monzer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
interesting. Okay, cool. And I'm sure he's just a bundle of fun.
He is, and he has a best friend who's a goat. Her name is Chammy. Yep.
I'm sure they get into
like chamois, like goat skin, but Chammy.
Chammy. Gotta get that CH in there. So
yep.
I love it. All right. So let's kind of jump into just talking about donkeys, because I think the one thing that I hear consistently with my job is that, oh well, they're just the donkey. They don't need anything, right? Like, yeah,
that's the common misconception that people have is they're low input, and they are, but they're really designed to be in like a desert environment.
Yes, and we took them and we put them in a swamp.
Basically, yeah. I mean, like, they were domesticated only about 7,000 years ago, and
which is crazy.
And
I read that too in some of my things. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So they're still kind of wild. Like
You can confirm. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely are very tied to their instincts and in tune with their wild ancestry. So
yes, and they like you said, they come from a desert environment, and I think that's one of the things that makes them very challenging to deal with, especially when we bring them into an environment here
in the Southeast. Absolutely.
Yes. And so, like, one of the things we're probably going to bring up several times throughout this podcast, because it's so important, is this feast and famine that they deal with. Because when you live in a desert environment, you don't have readily access to food. And so when you find food, you are going to eat as much of it as you can, and then you're going to get on your merry way and try to find your next meal.
Yep.
And so these guys are really good at storing energy in their body.
Yes.
And then being able to kind of slowly release that energy for when they need it at a later time and there may not be food there. So when we put them Here, where we have really nice grass,
Unlimited
and
resources.
really nice hay, and
Yep.
all the unlimited resources, and throw in the ones that like to give them lots of treats and
Oh, yes, the
grain
sugar.
and all the things. These guys blow up like a tick, and we have a major obesity epidemic in our donkey population here.
Absolutely.
And with the obesity, we have a higher risk for metabolic diseases and hyperlipidemia. We see a lot of these guys that have issues with laminitis.
Yep.
And so that's something that, when we kind of get into managing these guys, that's something we really, really want to focus on. And I mean, we can jump into that right now. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Nutrition wise for these guys, we're really kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here when we're saying we do not need to go feed them the nicest feed.
No. So real world example, my donkey, I had a gelding that I just sold back in the fall, and he and this donkey, they would play together, and like they would, do the boys thing, hang out, have the boys club. And I've noticed since I've sold him that my donkey is a little bit heftier. I do give him, he's out on, grazing or whatever. We don't have much grass. But I give him free choice Bermuda grass hay. He has his own section where just he can get to the hay. And then I do kind of give him like a little bit of a ration balancer, him and the goat, and they get like, a small like handful of alfalfa cubes soaked. So it's not a lot, but I have noticed that he is putting on weight.
They put it on fast
Yes.
too, like, because again, they're preparing for this situation where
Yeah.
I might not have food tomorrow, and so I need to have all this energy.
Yeah, and it's not his winter coat.
No.
It is fat.
It is fat, and they deposit their fat differently too. They really start with that crusty neck. That's where it comes in, and so that's kind of our first indication that hey, we're getting a little too conditioned here. We might need to back off on the feed or the treats.
Oh man, even the treats. I mean, you have to think. Like especially the miniature donkeys. I mean, they don't weigh that much.
No, and they don't take a lot of feed.
And if you give them a pocket full of treats, that's like a whole meal.
Oh yeah, and I've seen some, especially when we go to some of our appointments and we have some of our, maybe more feral ones that we're dealing with, and they can put the treats out in front of them, and the little donkeys are standing there, and just watching them just eat all the sugar. I'm like, oh Lord, okay.
All the calories.
I'm like, moderation. Moderation is key with these guys.
So like there's a website, and it's called the Donkey Sanctuary. It's over in the UK,
Yes.
and that's a really great resource. And they suggest even giving the donkey straw
Yes.
for their forage.
Oh yes, and again, we have some really nice hay here.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Very high quality.
that is way too much for
Too
them.
much.
We want like very low NSC, which is non-structural carbohydrates. We want like really, really low in that. And sometimes straw is kind of our best thing, because the one we reach for is usually Bermuda, but sometimes, especially around here lately, I've seen some really nice Bermuda, and I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be a little too nice for these guys. So
I'm set up really well. I can feed my donkey and my horses separately. So there's an area that my donkey only has my donkey and my goat, they only have access to it. The horses don't. So that's really important if you're housing horses and donkeys together.
or if you're in a situation where it's harder to separate them, or you're fortunate enough that you have really nice pastures, a grazing muzzle works really well for these guys too. Does slow them down. They hate it, but it will slow them down, because again, we kind of get into this. There was actually a study that was done like 10 years ago that I'll never forget, because it was so funny to me. But they looked at horses, and they looked at ponies and donkeys, and they put all of them on like an acre of pasture to see how long it would take them to eat it down. The ponies and the donkeys could eat it down in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they just don't stop.
Yeah. Some studies show that they'll graze, 18 hours a day.
Because horses, they'll eat a little bit and they'll go take a break and all that. No, donkeys, they'll just go. They will go until they can't, and then they'll eat some more. But yeah, so I think nutrition is probably the most common conversation that I have with people about how to feed these guys and how to manage them. The other big one that we deal with is their feet.
Feet. Yep.
Feet is the other big one. We have a lot of people that are like, well, I don't need to trim them.
Well, you have to think, Donkey's feet, they are hard.
They're
and
very hard.
They're made for the desert environment. They're made for picking through rocks and little nooks and crannies along crevices and things like that. But when you put them in an environment in the southeast that's hot and temperate and wet, and they are porous, and they're actually more porous than horses' hooves even. So if you're dealing with thrush in your horse's hooves, it's 10 times worse in your donkey's hooves.
Yes, and it's a lot harder to clear it out too, because like you said, it is thick, and the grooves that are in there are really deep and hard, and so trying to get that out of there and dry these things out is a challenge.
For sure.
And so, we have all these people that say, I don't need to trim their feet. I'm like, well, maybe if you lived on like big rocky mountains and you were riding them every day,
exactly,
up and through, passages, sure. But here, they need to be trimmed.
They do.
And
maybe not as often, maybe
right.
not at every 6-week rotation like your performance horses, but
they still need it. And they also even just, and I'm not going to get too deep into how to trim a donkey foot because I'm not a farrier. I don't know how to do that, but it is different. Trimming a donkey foot is very different than trimming a horse foot.
Yeah, they're definitely more upright and boxy.
Yes.
For sure.
And so if you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to go in there and do that, then you can actually really cause a lot of damage. I've seen people try to trim a donkey foot like a horse foot, and they absolutely cripple these little guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, little friend.
Yeah, they're and donkeys are tough, on that point of pain. They don't really show pain like horses do. So
notoriously
you really
stoic.
You kind of have to know your donkey and get to know that animal to understand its level of pain and its tolerance, because they really will hide the pain.
Yes. And that's kind of our thing too, is when we get a call about a sick donkey, I mean, we take all of our calls seriously, but those sick donkey calls are usually, oh no, it's
a red flag.
That's something's really wrong.
Yes.
Like these guys are usually very sick, or they're in a lot of pain, because by the time that they're limping on 3 legs or they're laying down, they're not wanting to eat, that
it's really bad.
We're already very far into it, and we're trying to play catch up.
Yep, it's very important to look, as an owner, to look for those small signs of behavior change or appetite change in your donkey.
Because like you said, you guys as the donkey owners, you know them best.
Yep.
So, I've even had some that the fact that I can even get onto the farm, walk up and touch the donkey, they're like, oh, this is bad. They're like, he feels like crap.
Yeah.
Because normally he would run away from a stranger.
Oh yeah, my donkey, he holds grudges. He loves dust baths, so he has spots around the pasture that he does his dust baths. If I brush him or give him a bath, even I can't catch him the next day because he's mad at me.
They're very smart too. They're very smart, and they're very loyal to their people. A lot of the ones that we have around here are livestock guardians, and they take their job very seriously.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I want to talk about is, some donkeys, they're designed to protect themselves and protect their herd. And, if you have a donkey that's never been around livestock or been around calves, especially jacks, sometimes they can attack the calves. I've heard that before, where people are like, I've heard donkeys attack calves or lambs, or they'll pick them up, or...
Oh, I've seen that too. I've seen them pick up the goats.
So you got to be really, really aware and conscious of the donkey that you pick to guard your livestock, and ensure that they're not. So I'm going to be breeding my mare this spring, and once she gets ready to foal, just because my donkey, he is still a jack. He's 12 years old. I probably should have gelded him when I got him, but such is life. So I've already talked with a friend, and he's going to go spend a couple months with her at their pasture with a goat. The goat will go with him until the foal is up and a little bit older, at least 3 months old.
Can defend itself a
exactly,
little bit more.
And run away. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, I've seen it too, even when a new donkey foal is born.
Yeah.
Even if they've all been living together.
Yeah.
And the new little foal is born, and...
It's little,
and it can't get away yet, and that jack will come and grab it and toss it, and they can get very violent. They're very territorial.
Yep. Yeah, I can't even bring my dogs to the barn because my donkey will just attack
Oh yeah.
them.
I was watching a video, I think it was on TikTok, and it was this, woman, she's walking through her cattle pasture, and this bull would not leave her alone, and it kept kind of coming at her, and she was like, oh crap, I cannot get away right now. Well, the donkey comes charging out of nowhere and chases the bull away, and it saves her. I was like, oh my God. And it was a big donkey. It was one of the bigger donkeys too. So I was like, ooh, it's I'm not going to get in between that thing.
No, typically your standard donkeys are the Guardians. They're 36 to 54 inches. And then you got your mammoth donkeys, which are huge.
Oh,
a lot
they're
of times
big.
You'll cross those with your Belgian mares or your Clydesdale mares to get those mammoth jacks or
Or
the mammoth mules.
Yeah.
And so mules are between a female horse and a male donkey.
And a male donkey, yes.
And the lesser known opposite of that is the henny.
The henny, very rare.
Very rare is a female donkey and a male horse.
Yes, and they're rare because most stallions won't really touch a donkey. They don't. It's the ones that I've seen. The hennies are mostly miniatures,
Little.
And
Yep.
most of the miniatures stallions are very little horny things, so they'll breed anything.
They don't care.
Right. And so I've seen mares lay down so that the donkey can get to them.
Well, I'm glad my mare doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my donkey's not gilded, and maybe I've been very lucky.
And that is something we'll get into too, is donkeys breed like rabbits. They are so fertile.
They are.
They are so fertile.
But what's crazy is their gestation period, though. It varies. It's not like horses where
No.
it's 11 months,
It is.
It
They
is
can go
11.
up to 14 months.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's
They'll just hold
completely
that thing in.
normal.
They'll just hold that thing in.
And they give you no warning when they're gonna fall out.
Nope, they just pop it
They
out.
just. It's just there.
They're like, tonight's the night.
Uh-huh.
You're not going to know.
Nope. And they're fine. They're, again, if we're getting involved in a donkey birth, it's usually not good.
Not good,
So
yeah.
it's, and we have a lot of people that they'll go and adopt a Jenny, which is a female donkey, and, a couple of months later, we get a call and they're like, we didn't know she was pregnant. I'm like, yeah, she's
Of course.
probably not going to give you much sign.
Yep.
She might have gotten her belly a little big, but sometimes you can't even tell with those.
No.
Especially when they are really fuzzy or if they're already, kind of obese, they are, they're very sneaky.
Yeah.
But kind of back to the mules though, mules are special.
They are. They carry more of the donkey adages than the
horse.
horses.
Yes. You never really know what you're going to get. We have some that are definitely more sway donkey. We have some that will sway a little more horse,
Yeah.
but I've never been on a mule, but I know the people that love them, they are
Die hard.
they die hard mule.
Yep.
They will not get anything else.
Yep.
I know we had some clients that they're big with the trails and stuff, and they love them. And they're really hardy out there, and
Yep.
so you can kind of get the best of both worlds when it comes to that, hardiness, but
The
they're still,
short-footedness.
and you can still, get on them and ride them and train them and do things, because you can train donkeys
You can.
to some extent, but
it is difficult. When I first got my donkey, he was untouched. He was an untouched 2-year-old. It took me about 6 months to touch him.
sounds about right.
Yep. I backed my trailer up, opened up the gate, and he ran off. And he ran straight into my divider fence, and I was like, oh my gosh. And but I just spent 6 months out there sitting on a bucket with him, in the evenings, just waiting on him to come to me. And he had never had feed before, so I couldn't catch him with a feed bucket. So, but now he's wonderful. I mean, he's been inside high schools.
Really?
I took him to an FFA meeting where we were talking about donkeys. So it was raining that day. So she was like, do you think he'd be okay if he walked in my classroom? I was like, yeah, let's lay some rugs down so he doesn't slip. Walked him right in the classroom. He was totally fine.
Oh my God.
I drove him all around the Conyers International Horse Park back in the summer. So I have a blog now. It's called Driving My Donkey Crazy. So I'm teaching him to drive. That's our new thing.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I've started ground driving him. I have a cart, and
Okay, so they can be trained.
they can be trained. It's taking me a long time, though. Because even though they don't run away like horses, they don't really have a huge flight response like horses.
No.
It's more of a freeze response. Or if you're not lucky, it's a fight response.
Yes, the hardest I've been kicked is by especially miniature donkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Because they do not hold back. They will hit you with everything, and they are quick with their little feet. So
Yeah. So, making sure that if they just freeze, don't think that they're okay with it.
it's their
It's their response. It's their survival instinct
Right.
kicking in, and they're like, oh my God, and they're thinking about it. So make sure that you give them plenty of time to think, and don't put a lot of pressure on them. Don't push them, because then you will kick in that fight response.
right. Because again, too, they are very intelligent.
Yeah.
They're very smart and
Self-preservation.
Yes, but they are. Once you gain that trust with them, like you're their best friend.
You're solid.
Like, you're solid. Like you can do anything with them. But
Yep.
building that trust takes a long time.
It took me 10 years.
10 years. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But no, my donkey, he's wonderful, but yeah, definitely the behavior aspect. And actually, University of Florida, they have a lot of good research on
Yes, they do.
donkey,
Yes, they
and donkey
do.
behaviors, and their equine program is wonderful down there, and with their research on the donkey. So be sure to check out the resources that they have if you want more, on donkey.
Well, and that's one of the big things too. Like we've mentioned before, they're very stoic, and so one of the things that Florida's doing and what the donkey sanctuary is doing is like really trying to like catalog like what their different behaviors mean, and like what donkey welfare is huge with these guys too, because they're so difficult to read sometimes, and so I think one of my least favorite things I have to work up sometimes is like just that the ADR donkey that ain't doing right, like we're not acting ourselves, or maybe we're not eating, or all of this, because I'm like, okay, you're not going to give me any sort of indication as to what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I need to try to figure it out. And these guys have come up with a lot of good resources for, how to read their facial cues to give you signs of pain.
Yeah.
And, what, even their blood parameters are completely different than a horse. And so when we go and, we get our blood work back, sometimes we're looking at it and we're like, well, this all looks fine. But if you actually kind of establish some of these parameters, you're like, oh, this is not where you're supposed to be. You're actually sick. So it's been really cool to kind of watch them, become more mainstream, and us actually as a profession, I think too, just recognize that we're like, hey, these guys are different, and we're seeing them a lot more now.
Well, on the vet side, they take anesthesia different.
Yes, very different. Their drug metabolism is so different.
Yeah. And so don't they like metabolize it like sedation faster?
Yes.
They take it deeper, and it's metabolized faster.
It's metabolized faster, so we have to give them usually heavier doses of not just anesthesia, but usually antibiotics as well. And we sometimes have to give them at more frequent intervals too, just to get things to work. So yeah, anybody that's ever sedated a donkey can tell you that sedation wears off very quickly.
Very quickly.
And sometimes I'm giving them the same dose that I would give to like a large horse, like a warm blood type horse. So, that's how it goes.
So, quick fact about donkeys across the world, millions of donkeys are harvested every year for their hides.
I read that.
Yeah, there's like a gelatin that's made from their hides that's medicinal and has medicinal qualities that
Interesting.
helps like lower their blood pressure. So apparently across the world there's an issue with donkeys being stolen from families that rely on them. I mean, across the world donkeys are used for work.
Really?
So they're stolen and sold to harvest their hides.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I know.
I didn't know that. Like I knew that they were used obviously in other parts of the world for various things. I didn't know about that though. Like
Yeah, it's a gelatin. And actually donkey milk is one of the closest milks to human milk. So there's a lot of donkey dairies.
Who is milking a donkey?
I don't know. I mean, I looked into it. They don't really produce that much milk.
No, they don't.
It's
They
very, very little amounts of milk for their foal. And you know, you got to have a lot of donkeys to get some donkey milk.
Yes, you do. Or they're, I don't know, maybe they're doing something to try to, you know, boost their lactation. Like, I don't know if they're, you know, running it more like a dairy, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting down there to milk a donkey. You're out of your mind. We don't even sheath clean donkeys.
I know.
If people ask us to sheath clean their donkey, I'm like, all right, well, here's my life insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Oh,
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting. See, I didn't know about the dairy stuff either, but I mean, I guess
It's rather expensive, donkey's milk is.
I can imagine. Yeah, you said there's not a lot of it.
There's
Just
not a lot
getting
of
it, you have to risk your life, but
Pretty much.
but I mean, again, like you think about other parts of the world, that may be your best option.
Yeah. But yeah, so kind of going back to working donkeys and understanding their workload, you know, it's not like horses. You know, studies have shown about 28% of their body weight is what they can load.
Interesting.
Yep.
So but it makes sense though. It's like you don't see the donkeys in particular being used for, you know, pulling carts and you know, even being ridden. Maybe Jesus, I don't know,
Yeah.
but like but again, I think that's maybe where the mule came in. So, you know, like we've, you know, kind of led up to, they have big use all over the world now. And, you know, now that we have domesticated them, and here we don't really see them in use as much, they're more just kind of companions.
Yeah.
That's probably the most common thing that we see them for is, you know,
A pet.
they're a pet, or, you know, they're a buddy for your horse. And so, you know, getting into it is, I have this donkey now. Do I need to include them in my horse's regular wellness care? And answer is yes.
Yes.
That
Absolutely.
they are still very susceptible to the same diseases that horses get. So they are equines. So they can get Eastern and Western encephalitis virus. They can get West Nile virus. They can get tetanus.
Rabies.
They can still get a lot of the respiratory diseases that the horses can catch. So, you know, we still have to vaccinate for them, especially if they're going to be around horses that are traveling.
Yep.
We absolutely need to protect them from that, because these guys can get very, very susceptible to that. And deworming as well. Deworming is probably the one that I have to fight with people the most on.
Yeah, especially
deworming their donkeys.
You know, especially if they're livestock guardians, you know, a lot of those, I'm not saying every cattleman, I'm not generalizing, but they'll run them through the chute and just pour cattle dewormer down their back.
like,
And it's
no.
Just go buy you a little tube at Tractor Supply.
And
you can run it through the chute. I'm sure your donkey's feral. You can run it
Yes.
through the chute. Just grab its head, stick the dewormer in its mouth.
I'm
At
like,
proper weight dosage. And
it's like $10.
Yeah.
It's, you
Yeah,
know, and it's going to help
exactly.
them.
yeah.
And, you know, and one of the big things that we see that's unique to donkeys is lungworms. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. We'll put the name on the screen somewhere. Dictylococcus. But donkeys are often asymptomatic for this, but they can shed it and pass it to horses.
Oh.
And if you're not deworming these donkeys regularly, they're going to shed this to your horse. And I've seen one case before where we had this horse and we knew it had respiratory signs. We could not, for the life of us, figure out what was going on with it. And then, you know, we kind of went back and did a little history, and we're like, well, there's a donkey in the pasture.
Yeah.
They weren't deworming the donkey.
Oh.
And ding, ding, there it was. Horse had lungworms.
Wow.
So, And so, you know, but that's if we were just doing our regular deworming with these guys, because it's usually susceptible to, you know, your fenbendazoles, your ivermectins, you know, what we're regularly using to deworm our donkeys.
Yeah.
This might not have gotten to this point. So, But, you know, so it's something I absolutely need to be having a discussion. You know, if you've got a donkey on your property and we're coming out to look at your horses, we want to see the donkey too. Even if we don't have horses on your property, we still want to come see the donkey. We're still going to give them all the same care.
Yeah, and dental care too.
Dental care, absolutely. Their skull is different too than a horse. Their maxilla, or their top jaw, is actually a lot wider than, like, relative to a horse. And their teeth are not usually scaled down appropriately, like, sized compared to a horse. So a lot of times their teeth are very crowded in there. And so we do dentals on donkeys. I think some people might think that's insane. If I told people that like 10 years ago, they'd probably be like, what? But we see dental problems in donkeys all the time.
Yeah, definitely have your donkey looked at.
And they need it. They need a Coggins. If you're traveling with them especially, they need a Coggins. They can get EIA. They can get all the same things.
All the
same things. And then, again, the other big thing we talk about, which we're going to probably bring up again because it's super important, is the nutrition with them.
Yeah.
We have an obesity epidemic in our donkey population here.
Mine is not, I wouldn't classify him as obese, but I can definitely see that he's gaining weight now that he's not as active. So.
Yeah. And activity is good for them, moving around. But even then, it's like, we have to watch it. And one of the probably most common things that I see with sick donkeys is it's called hyperlipidemia. And so, kind of what we talked about at the beginning, where donkeys are really good at storing energy and they release it when they are in a situation where they're not eating. And so when we get these donkeys that aren't wanting to eat because they're sick or they're stressed. We see it a lot of times too when they have a high energy demand, like donkeys that are pregnant or they're lactating and feeding a foal. All of this energy is going to get released. And when they have a ton of fat stores, that's a lot of fat to get circulating through their blood. And all of that is just going to get taken up by organs. And organs do not like having a lot of fat in them. And so when we get to that point, that's where organs start to shut down, and now they start really getting sick. And that's probably one of the most common things I see when it comes to sick donkeys is it actually, in their blood, it's like creamy. Because there's just so much fat circulating in their blood.
Wow.
That's my like alarm of, oh, we need to get fixed right away.
Yeah.
So, figuring out what the problem is, why is this donkey not eating? Is it because they're in pain somewhere? Were they colicking? What do we have going on here? So trying to find the root cause of the problem and then getting them to eat, which in a donkey that doesn't want to eat is a very difficult challenge. Most of the time donkeys will eat anything you put in front of them, but when you're trying to get them to eat, it is very difficult. And so we take these guys really, really seriously. We'll tube feed them if we have to, just to try to get some nutrition into their body. We'll run IV fluids with glucose. We'll try to do anything just to get their energy levels back up, to get them into a positive energy balance, and then just trying to get them to eat on their own.
Yeah.
And that is a very difficult thing to do. So, when donkeys stop eating, that is something that we need to get involved very quickly, because this can go south really fast.
Yeah.
And trying to play catch up with these guys that are that sick is a challenge.
Yeah,
yes, it is. And again, donkeys hate being hospitalized. I hate bringing donkeys in here because they don't like change. They're very easily stressed out. Like you said, they freeze up and then they don't want to do anything. So I'm like, I can't get donkeys to eat here.
Yeah.
If we have to bring a donkey in here for any reason, I am like trying to get them out as fast as I can. I hate when they hang out here because they hate being here. And the second they stop eating, I'm like, you gotta go.
Yep.
You gotta get out of here.
Yep.
Like,
Go back to where you're comfortable.
Yes, get them. They love routine. They love, consistency in their environment and the people that they're around. And, if the longer that we have them here, they're not happy.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of, consistency. That's kind of one of the reasons why I got a goat to stay with my donkey.
Yeah.
Is because, goats you're really supposed to have two, but
He thinks he's a donkey, though.
yeah, my goat definitely thinks he's a horse or a donkey. But, when I would take the horses, it would just be, I didn't want it to just be the donkey left in the pasture. So,
Oh yeah, they're
making
they're very herd bound too.
making sure that there's a companion with that animal. So on a vet question though, so I have a donkey. He's 12 this year. He's a jack.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So should I consider gelding him?
We can geld them.
I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared personally.
Yeah. So the jacks mature, I swear, like way faster than horses. Like a lot of the literature tells you that they kind of mature between like 9 to 12 months. That's a lie. I've seen them at like 2 months old, like trying to mount their mom. So like they have very developed male anatomy too. Like you see very young donkeys with like fully dropped like mature testicles, and I'm like, oh, okay, like you're ready to survive. You're ready to reproduce. So, we absolutely can castrate them. I've castrated donkeys as, late as like 18, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it does help with the behavior changes.
Yeah.
Just kind of taking that testosterone influence away can help with that. We actually talked about this on our podcast a couple weeks ago about, kind of that late castration. And, sometimes there are some behaviors that are kind of ingrained into their brain at that point, which are a little harder to untrain, but just taking away that influence can help. And if they're near females, you don't have that risk anymore of them impregnating something.
I'm just concerned about, just him being an older.
Yeah. It's the hardest thing with castrating donkeys is they are very vascular down there. They have a lot of blood flow to their testicles, like a lot more than a horse of that same age and size. So, bleeding is kind of our biggest risk with these guys. So we're even just our approach to doing a castration is a little different in a donkey than it would be a horse. And we really try, at least for those first couple days, to keep them locked up so that they're not, risking blowing that clot.
Yeah.
I don't ligate a lot of my castrations, but donkeys I absolutely do, because I'm like, they will bleed.
Yeah.
They will bleed a lot. And so it's definitely a more risky procedure, but it's absolutely something we can do, especially if they're going to be around a mare.
Yeah.
So unless you want a little mule baby.
That's true. I know. No, I don't want a mule baby.
You don't want a mule baby. No. Some people do. Some people, they love the little mules, and they get surprised with a little mule baby.
That's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they are, yes, it's absolutely something we can do. I definitely recommend for, the jacks.
Well, because a lot of people, if they're getting a donkey, if they're like getting a donkey given to them, or a donkey's looking for a home, it's usually a jack.
It's usually a jack, and it's usually not cut.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. Like, so, so you can gild them.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know why I haven't. It's just one of those things where it's like, I haven't scheduled it.
Hey, get it on the books. We'll do it.
Right? I know.
It's fun. He'll probably hate us.
He will hate. Yeah.
He will hate us, and he'll probably be a little angry at you.
He'll be angry at me for sure.
But again, these guys breed like rabbits. I swear, they are so fertile, and they will not stop. Like nothing can stop a jack. Like with that thought on his mind.
He's never bred anything, so I think
maybe he hasn't had that urge yet.
Yeah, he
so.
doesn't know.
Some of them don't. Like some of them really don't. But no, like I swear we go to some of these places, and it's like every year they've got another one on the ground, and they're like, yeah, it just keeps happening. I'm like,
well, that's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they do. That's how they do it. And I'm like, the baby's just fresh out the womb, and he's already going to make another one. So they are. Yes, so that's, yes, if you have a new jack and you have females on your farm and you don't want any more creatures,
gild them.
Snip, snip.
Yep.
Very easy procedure. So kind of wrapping up, I know we've been through a lot. We've talked about a lot. What's your recommendation, say, for somebody that, is interested in getting a donkey, or maybe they just got a donkey? What's your recommendation for, for going forward with them? And
definitely number one is nutrition. That I would say that is making sure that you dial in that nutrition specifically for that donkey, for their size, for their weight, and their age. So making sure that they have the appropriate nutrition level, and it's not too much, because that's often the case.
Yes, most of the time it's the case.
Yep. And then Hoof and dental care, it's the same as horses. You want to make sure that you're looking at those teeth yearly, trimming the hooves regularly. Sometimes that's not as often as the horses, but regularly for the donkeys. And then shelter, winter care. They are not designed to be in cold,
No, they're
wet,
not.
stormy climates. They're designed to be in desert climates. So making sure that you have shelter for your donkeys, making sure that you have plenty of spaces for them to get out of the wind and out of the rain, and then disease. They are susceptible. So don't forget about your donkey.
Yes. Don't. You brought them here. They're part of the herd.
Yep.
We got to treat them as such.
Yep.
So, and they're horses, but they're not.
Yes.
So they have their own unique needs. There's special considerations we have to take into, taking care of them, but
Yeah.
but we do still have to care for them.
Acinology is the study of donkeys.
Acinology, that's a word. So that could be the podcast title. So it's gonna be a no.
All about that ass.
We might get blocked. I don't know.
Sure.
Our first ever TikTok got taken down. We
know.
got like permabanned, because we technically we didn't even swear, but I think they thought we did. It was implied. I think somebody got mad, but
People.
it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, our first TikTok got banned because we made somebody mad, but
I have a hat that says bad and it has a picture of a donkey.
we should have worn it today.
I know.
We got to do the whole thing again, April. So.
I forgot my hat.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed our little chat about the donks. We love our donkeys. Like, they're some of my favorite patients are my donkey patients. 'Cause
I
they're
love
just-
my donkey.
You love your donkey.
I love my
Other
donkey.
people's donkeys.
I don't know about other people's donkeys, 'cause they could be asses sometimes.
Yes. We get to some and we're like, do they have a halter? They're like, what's that? I'm like, oh my God, okay. So
Get the shootout for the donkey.
I was like, oh God, okay. So yeah, there are some clever ways to catch a donkey. It's just outsmarting them, which is the challenge. So,
Yep.
but we love them. If you have a donkey and you need a vet, we're here to take care of your donkeys. If you have questions, please reach out to us. We'll link those resources as well.
Yeah, be sure to check out my blog, Driving My Donkey Crazy.
Yes.
I did do an article recently on winter donkey care, so that's a
Yes.
very relevant topic right now.
Yeah, we'll link all the resources because we know they're a special little breed, and they have their own needs, and we want the best for our donk friends. So
Absolutely.
well, Miss Ashley, thank you for
Yeah,
joining us.
thanks for
today.
having me.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in as always. All 4 of you that are still listening to us, awesome, thank you. And we'll see you guys next week.